on Twitch. Waiting for the audio, streaming on Twitch.
I just assume you're in like a cockpit of an airplane.
All right, we have audio on Twitch. And now, Dementia Radio. Now, and recording in 3, 2, 1.
Recorded live on DementiaRadio.org, it's the Funny Music Podcast, brought to you by FuMP.com, where you can download new free comedy songs twice a week. Now, here's your hosts, Devo Spice and the great Luke Ski.
Hey, Devo Spice.
Hey, Luke Ski.
There's Joe J. Thomas in the house.
Hello. Welcome, Joe. And we will have a pre-recorded interview with Ookla the Mock coming up later in the show. Welcome to episode 675 of the Funny Music Podcast for Thursday, May 25th, 2023. The title of this week's episode is Trick Fireman, which I will put in the chat, and you can try to work that into our conversations somehow, because that's how we do things around here, the dumb way. Wildcard says he has a frozen video and no sound. It's working for me, and Blacksmith says it's working for him. So, okay, Wildcard, it's on you. All right, let's do the catch-up thing.
Let's get caught up with what Devo and Luke have been up to since last week. Or else Devo, if Luke failed and didn't show up.
Hey, what?
Oh, he's right.
So, Luke, what you been up to?
Well, let me see. Hung out with Kyle a couple of times over the weekend because it was his birthday, so that was fun. He and Lindsay went to the Scum and Villainy Cantina for the first time, which is a nerd bar in downtown LA that's done up like, the Star Wars Cantina. So that was fun. Yesterday, for the first part of the day, I went to Disneyland with Tony Goldmark and rode Star Wars Rise of the Resistance and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and rode Splash Mountain, which will, unless I go back to the park next Wednesday, which I might, like they're closing it down so that they can refurb it and turn it into Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So I at least got to ride that version of that ride one more time. There's a lot of stuff about it I forgot because I typically don't ride it because, it's like a water flume ride, and it's like I just hit a certain point in my life where it's like I don't feel like being wet if I don't necessarily need to be wet.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
So, that's another thing with me is, I don't know if any other people are like this. I guess I'm mainly aiming this question more at artists, but I generally don't like washing my hands unless there's a real specific need to wash my hands, because I can't tell you the number of times growing up when, I have to, do something. Oh, I have to wash my hands. Oh, I get my hands wet. And then I go back to some drawing I'm working on and I put my hand on the paper, and then a whole bunch of water gets on the paper and smears what I just drew and ruins everything. It's like,
yep. I've had that happen. Yeah.
At some point it's like, fine, no more washing my hands.
I'm basically a raccoon.
So, yeah.
I will wash my hands at the drop of a hat, and they'll get sugar cubes and go wash their hands, and it's like, they dissolved. Yeah, moron. You can't wash your hands 27,000 times a day. So.
Yeah. So anyway, so that was nifty, and today it's been a while since I've gone on one of my get together lunch coffee type of dealies with people for the purposes of networking, but I finally got around to doing another one today, and the person I went to lunch with today, getting to meet him for the first time ever, is a man named Steve Anderson, who worked for Disney for 26 years. He's not working with them right now. He's trying to do other of his own stuff that isn't Disney related. But most significantly, he directed the movie from 2007, Meet the Robinsons.
Oh, cool.
I absolutely love, which there's a song about Meet the Robinsons here on the FuMP. And that song is called Wilbur Robinson, by the way, if anyone wants to look that up. And when that song first came out on the FuMP, somehow, through the magic of the internet, he heard about it and like reached out and got in touch with me, way back then. So I've been kind of, distant friends with him, and then eventually, we became Facebook friends, and now finally, for the first time, we actually got to meet in person and sit down. I mean, he's done other awesome things too. He directed the 2011 theatrical animated Winnie the Pooh movie, the one that Disney so smartly released the same day as one of the Harry Potter movies.
Yes.
Good call.
Which was one of your best callbacks ever at Nerdapalooza, if you want to tell that story.
Yeah. So, because, because it's the kind of, Disney nerd I am. We were at Nerdapalooza in Orlando, and it's the weekend, the day that the Harry Potter movie / the Winnie the Pooh movie is coming out. And I knew I wanted to head to the downtown Disney shopping area that's like free. You don't have to pay to get into it. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to take the bus all the way out there, I might as well go to the AMC movie theater that's there and see Winnie the Pooh on the day it comes out, so I can support that movie because it's going to need the help, and actually see, this new Disney, theatrical animated feature at a theater, and the day it comes out, blah blah blah. So I did that. That was fun. Got back to Nerdapalooza, and then that night on stage, it was Schaefer the Dark Lord, and I forgot the other person, he was about to perform with, and he's like saying on stage, like, we're gonna do a song, and some people might be into it. This new song of ours, it's has something, kind of ties in with like a new movie that came out today. Like he's like.
I think he said something to the effect of, "This was a movie we've all been waiting for a very long time." Words to that effect.
Yeah, and then it was coming out that day, and then I just shouted, "Winnie the Pooh!"
And Schaefer was like, "Winnie the Pooh, yes, that's it."
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah. So that was my little, lame claim to fame moment at Nerdapalooza that year. So it was cool to finally meet him, have lunch, and just finally, kind of kind of really give him, the full, or the more or less backstory of, me and how I ended up out there, working and trying to be a storyboard artist. And, he was asking me about, like, how things been going with Funny Music. And I told him about, the latest album and stuff like that. And, he also worked, he worked on The Emperor's New Groove, which is like my second favorite Disney movie, just before, just your Aladdin's #1. And then it's like Aladdin, Emperor's New Groove, Wreck-It Ralph, Meet the Robinsons, and Ralph Breaks the Internet. So, so I told him about Tony's podcast and the fact that my guest choice was Emperor's New Groove, and that me, Tony, Kyle, and Lindsay just spent whatever it was 2 hours just talking about how much we love that movie. So when I got back, I emailed him the Spotify link for Needlessly Meta, and also the podcast link for the Emperor's New Groove episode of Escape from Walt Disney. So hopefully he'll have fun listening to those. And I'm sure we will likely, keep in closer touch, and like, just, it's like he's not in the exact same boat as I am, but he's basically at this point where it's like, okay, he had been looking to step away from Disney so he could try to figure out, maybe do some of his own things. He worked on the season 1 of the show Monsters at Work, the one based on Monsters Inc. That came out a year or so ago. So like once he finished that up, he was like, okay, this is like it kind of made sense. Like, okay, this is going to be me taking my graceful exit from Disney, on good terms, and figure out some stuff. So he's like in his own way trying to figure out what's next for him, and I've been trying to, get another boarding job and figure out what's next for me. So we're just gonna, keep in touch and stuff, and we already have plans to get together on Zoom in a couple weeks for a specific reason, and I will reveal what that is later. So, but yeah, just awesome fun stuff. What have you been up to?
Well, we also had a birthday. Connor turned 19 on Friday, and teenagers are jerks. It's just Like, he didn't want to have a party, didn't want to have any of the relatives over or anything like that. Didn't refuse to let me and Jen take him out to dinner and everything. I was like, fine. So I just, the present I bought him, like, I didn't even take it out of the Amazon box. I just tossed it in his general direction. Said happy birthday. So that's what it's like having teenagers. So we spent most of the weekend finishing up the remodeling in the bathroom. We are almost done. Just have a couple of little things to clean up. We got the floor down, the grouts in, tiles down, the grouts in, the new toilet's in place. It doesn't leak. Hallelujah. And there's a couple of little like cleanup things we need to do still, but otherwise, for the most part, we have a functioning bathroom again, which is very nice. And then on Monday, I did a talent agent workshop with my acting class where we got on Zoom with 3 different talent agents, and I did a scene with my teacher and got some feedback, and it went pretty well. It was a lot of fun. They enjoyed the scene. They thought I did a good job, and I haven't heard anything from them since, so probably won't at this point, but it was a good experience anyway. And that's about it. Other than that, I've just been trying to get ready for Balticon, which is this weekend. I leave tomorrow. I'm planning to rehearse my set after the show tonight. So, yay. I just haven't had a lot of time to do much of anything. So,
I realized earlier today, I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing Steve Goody's thing on Monday. I should maybe talk to him about like the why and the how and the what time and the details so that the things can happen,
The things and the Glavin and the Moisengane. You got to plan out all those things. So Joe, what have you been up to?
I can totally empathize with the remodel because I was in Spain and my wife came back to do some work, and while she was here, as she is wont to do, she bought a condo, not a whole building, just one unit, and she's like, you should probably come back to look at where we might live. And I'm like, okay. So and it's not it's in a good area, nice building, but the condo probably hasn't been touched since it was built, and everything. No, there's nothing. We can't save anything. We just had like the asbestos removal guys in.
Oh, geez.
And then like our contractor came through and he has ripped out most of the kitchen, both bathrooms, and the flooring. And he's like, yeah, you're just going to need all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's been occupying a good deal of my time.
I can imagine.
Aside from that, I've actually been doing. I'm in a dub anime dub called Konosuba, and it's on Crunchyroll. And the interesting thing about this one is it's 12 episodes, but they're doing something called a simuldub, where they release the Japanese, and then a week later they release the English dub. So every week I've had like a session because they're like, hey, your character's in this week and we're due next week's. So
okay.
It's got to get done. So that's been actually really cool because it's been getting some, catching some stuff on Twitter, and people are like, oh, here's a cool scene and congratulations to the cast. I don't usually catch it when it's live because they just released, 12 episodes and it's all English dub. And here they're kind of waiting for it. So that's a different thing for me. Yeah.
Nice. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
What was the name of it?
Konosuba. And then it's got a long ass name after the end. Explosions in the Real World, Volume 3, Subchapter 27 or something. Because it's I'm sure it's from like some manga, and
yeah,
it's like a long running series that they just decided to animate one of the versions of. But it's a cool story. It's like a little magic academy, except the magicians are all kind of younger, kind of Harry Potter-ish, but not, because they do things like blow stuff up, and it's generally kind of a funny. I'm one of the teachers, and he sounds ridiculously like Charlton Heston. So You know, at some point, I'm sure they'll have me say, "You damn dirty apes!" and
Right.
done with that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kyle and Luke were talking about anime with really long titles on their show. I enjoyed that conversation because I don't watch anime hardly at all.
It's one end or the other. It's either like a one-word title like Monster, and that's it, that's the whole title, or it's like, welcome to our wonderful world with unicorns and things, and here's a few Japanese words thrown in that you won't understand. And I'm like, why is it so long? And the studio will actually not use the name at all. They'll just take the first letter from each thing and they'll just call it that. So it's like KS3 number 4 number sign. It's like, oh,
It's
okay.
like, just call it Trick Fireman. That'll work. Just do that.
Tag.
All right. So you posted a song.
Yes, I did.
Give us a quick intro. We'll give it a listen, and I'll play the video for the people watching at home.
This is about a mom who was a surgeon at a hospital and now is a surgeon at her home.
Here is Dr. Mom. I wrote down by Ookla the Muck. That is not by Ookla the Muck. Our other song is by Ookla. Here is Dr. Mom by Joe J. Thomas.
I get home from school and there's a body on the kitchen table. Dr. Mom comes through the door and tells me his condition's stable. Mom's a genius surgeon with a lot of dedication. But every time she brings work home, I'm in need of medication. Down in our family basement is the convalescent ward. In the attic lives a psycho who's got free room and board. Dr. Mom says it's all just a temporary situation. But after all the stress, I'm gonna need a permanent vacation. Sponge, wipe, clamp, home, work, champ. It's the liver and onions she made us for our dinner. But none of us is really sure if it's cow or if it's someone's innards. Dr. Mom, we gotta talk. There's something that I wanna say. It's sad you lost your job last year, but there has to be a better way. You know we love you, Dr. Mom, with all our heart and soul. I think a new career next year might be a pretty awesome goal. Dr. Mom is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Oh, so this is a sitcom.
Yeah, well, the impetus for this one, strangely, I work with an improv troupe called Queen City. They're out of North Carolina, I believe, North Carolina, but they're global. So the group I play with is called Horrible Friends of Mine, and I did a theme song for Horrible Friends of Mine a while back, and the person running the group said, hey, we've got another group, and they're doing improv that's a medical-based drama, and they'd like a song to go with it. And so I wrote Dr. Mom, and they have a different tagline at the end of theirs, because theirs is called Mom's Anatomy, which I thought was a really freaky name. So I found a piece of music and I wrote this to it, and I'm like, this has a real like Friends 90s kind of sitcom vibe to it. Wrote the skeleton for it, haha, and strangely, okay, so just so you know, my wife is a lawyer, and most of the time my humor, I think she's in the category of she gets it, but she doesn't laugh at it. So
My wife's the same way. She's like, she doesn't think it's funny. She just, yeah.
I think the best compliment I got was on my prior song, where she said, "Oh, this is surprisingly funny."
Yes.
Just like that, just deadpan delivery. This is surprisingly funny. Hey, high praise. Okay. So on this one, I'm like, hey, can you look at these lyrics? And I did like a draft version, and I need some help on this section and this section. She's like, why don't you put in a piece where they don't know if they're eating something from a body or something from a cow? I went, okay, my wife said that. Should I be concerned? So I put that in, and then I got to the animated piece, and I said, I don't have anything for this part where they love mom. She said, put in some beating human hearts. Like, okay, there was a reason why I married you, and this is probably it. So kudos to my wife for 2 great suggestions that I used. And
good contributions to the song, yeah.
And now I can't sleep at night. So
yeah.
I got that going.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah. So next up, I think I'm going to work on merch for it. I'm going to have a line of scalpels and a junior phlebotomist toolkit. And
if you need help modifying an operation game, I can help you with that because I've done that. So
wow, hey, that's a killer idea. Yeah, the Dr. Mom version of the operation game. Yes, yeah, that's merch. That is merch.
Where the real money from the song is made.
Yeah, because
I don't even know what else to ask you about this song. It pretty much covers it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's self-contained unless, I come up with a sequel to it at some point where she gets a job as a, nuclear research technician and then brings that home instead.
That'll be season 2.
Season 2, yeah. By the way, did you guys notice that online the Brady Bunch house is for sale?
I think somebody did point me to that. Yeah.
It got remodeled, and it looks, now the inside, it was just the outside, but now the inside looks just like the Brady Bunch home.
Nice.
And they want like $5.5 million.
Yeah,
I'm sure
of course they do.
I'm sure it's in LA somewhere, but
Yeah, I've driven by it. It's in the valley. So.
Oh, you have? Okay. Yeah. So, if you have a spare $5.5 million sitting around gathering dust, you could have
It's the kind of thing where it's like, I heard it was in a specific area of the valley, and I kept delivering like places, and then I would always see like, because on Google Maps, like if there's any things of note, they'll just have like a little pin, and it'll say like, and it's like Brady Bunch House, and it's like, oh, well, whatever. And then like one day I was, I got close enough to it where I was like, you know what, screw it. After I make this delivery, I'm just going to drive over to it just so that I can look at it and have seen it in person. It's like, yeah, that's the Brady Bunch House, all right. And then that was it.
Did it still have the AstroTurf on the front yard?
I think they had regular turf. But the other thing like that was I was making a delivery and I saw that like one of the pins said something like like Michael Scott's Disco Break Room, and I'm like, wait, what? And then I saw next to that it said like Dunder Mifflin Paper Company, and then when I got there I looked and like the building is actually a studio where they film other stuff, but it is the building they used for for the office. So
for the exterior shots.
Yeah, I mean they have a huge gate up there now, so you can't really get in and see it, but like just from the street you can look up like, oh yeah, that's Dunder Mifflin.
Wow, cool.
Nice.
I have to imagine, because the show takes place in Scranton, it's like it was somebody's job to have to like go out and like dump fake snow on the ground at various points just to be like, no, this isn't Southern California, this is Pennsylvania.
I will tell you from personal experience, you do not want to replicate Scranton anywhere.
So is there anything else you're working on that you're allowed to talk about?
Not yet.
Yeah.
No.
Did anything come out recently?
Recently? No. just the Konosuba one, and then the usual song nonsense that I put out on Joe's Dump. Joe'sDump.com.
Joe'sDump.com. Yes. So is there anything else you want to plug or talk about?
I want the Brady Bunch home, but my wife thinks it's hideous. She does not like the orange kitchen counter. So obviously we're not going to have.
I see. I would only buy it if it came with Alice.
Ooh, or an Alice robot.
An Alice robot, yes.
Yeah.
What's
Every
the
home needs
what's the
an
name of the
Alice
robot from the Jetsons?
Rosie.
Rosie, yes.
Rosie.
I'll take Rosie. I'll take Alice or Rosie, one of the two.
Yes, Mr. J.
Have you heard the I don't know if I want to call it a conspiracy theory or not, but the theory that the Jetsons and the Flintstones take place at the same time, and the Jetsons are up in the clouds and the Flintstones are on the ground?
Wow. Wow. That's dystopian.
Yeah, it's like society has, collapsed to the point where like all the rich people live in the clouds and all the poor people live on the ground, and they've devolved to the Stone Age leftovers, and that's how society works now.
Which is why, like, they have things that are meant to recreate modern technology things, but they're all made of like stone and they have little animals in them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yep. See, it makes sense.
Very clever, Mr. Bond.
I'd love to see them actually do something with that and make it canon, but
It's a possibility. They like reusing stuff. So.
yeah.
Reimagining.
Reimagining, yes.
Reimagining.
Making requels and things. All right, so you have anything you'd like to plug?
No, that's all for me. Just enjoy your night, your day, your thing, and music and stuff. Oh, by the way, I did love Ugla the Mock's song, so that's coming up. So
That is coming up.
Stay tuned for that, even if I can't stay tuned.
All right, well, thank you for joining us,
Cool. Thanks, guys.
and we will catch you next time.
Yeah.
Watch
This
Dave
is the
Letterman
FuMP.
Shtick. Each stupid human and pet trick. He'd jump on a wall and stick in a suit made of Velcro. That Larry Bud Melman was all the rage, and Biff Henderson managing the stage. Some slow.
Don't like those peaches, they are full of stones. I like bananas because they have no bones. Don't give me tomatoes, cats and ice cream cones. We all die in the dark. Those out waters, desert strolling. Got the sketchy tune, needs a video for MTV.
That's the Funny Music Project at thefump.com. THEFUMP.com.
And a bottle of yoo-hoo, what you gonna do?
Said doo-doo, haha.
Let's get a ship in a flamer skull and crossbones. Let's sail to the seven seas and never come home. Let's get some hooks and a locker from Davy Jones.
Yes, I'm excited. Let's be pirates.
Let's start to act like Captain Jack.
Time for funny music news. Something.
In the news, the soundtrack for Weird, the Al Yankovic Story, is now finally available in physical media form. It's been available on streaming for some time, but now you can pick it up on CD or vinyl as your heart desires. The vinyl is expensive. It's like $37 or so.
I ordered that like a while back, like back when the movie came out. Like,
Did you get it a while back? Or
Yeah.
maybe it's just the vinyl that just came out, because one of the two just came out.
Okay.
FuMP 98 is now available. It shipped to subscribers last weekend, and I finally got it up in the store at the FuMP.com. It features all of the songs from March and April of 2023, including Let's Be Pirates by Knuckleheads, The Letterman by the Great Luke Ski, I Like Bananas Because They Have No Bones by the New Orleans Steamcog Orchestra, Poisoning Pigeons in the Park by Insane Ian, and many, many more, plus an interview with the Great Luke Ski about his new album, Needlessly Meta. Pick it up now at the store at thefump.com.
Yay.
Go ahead.
That one is not available on vinyl.
No, it will not be, unless I get my own lathe cut machine in this room, and I don't have that kind of money lying around. The Misbehavin' Mavens, I believe we mentioned in the past, are calling it quits. They have a couple of final shows lined up, one of which is happening right now, but their last official song, excuse me, is going to be taking place June 30th at Jammin' Java in Vienna, Virginia, with the PDX Broadsides opening for them. Tickets are available at jamminjava.com. And they still have a bunch of merchandise available, which you can pick up at misbehavenmavens.bandcamp.com. And FuMPFest has our first sponsor for 2023.
Hooray!
Bob O'Leary Photography. Bob O'Leary is a professional photographer based in Tallahassee, Florida. He started out as a photojournalist working for major daily newspapers and with United Press International Wire Service. Published in People Magazine, Times, Stern, Newsweek, and many other national news magazines and daily newspapers across the globe. He now works in Tallahassee, Florida, where he runs the Photo Studio, F-O-T-O Studio. Bob will be on hand at FuMPFest taking pictures, so he'll be documenting the entire thing.
Cool.
And the FuMP May newsletter went out today, featuring the FuMP 98, FuMPFest, Mikey Mason's new album pre-orders, videos, and many more. If you're not on our mailing list, you can view it online at tiny.cc/FuMP0523 for May of 2023. tiny.cc/FuMP0523. All right, you got anything else?
Yes. Let me pull up a draft of a thing. Nope, it's not there. It is... There it is. My 2007 album, Baconspiracy, featuring my Dr. Demento Show hits You Don't Know Jack and Dementia Revolution, as well as the songs Bacon, One Night in Quark Spar, It's a Fanboy Christmas 2, The Wrath of Claus, Getting Giggity With It, It Takes Who, etc., is now on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and more. So, hooray for that. The notable thing about this is, since we have finally hit an album that has material that I made before the FuMP came out, there are tracks on there that haven't been on Spotify or iTunes or anywhere because they were pre-FuMP. The most significant of that would be my original version of You Don't Know Jack. So there you go. You can finally add that to your playlists and stuff. So that's a thing.
All right. Our second song of the week is a new song by Ookla the Mock, another song they did as a Kickstarter reward. Here is Invader Zim.
They sent Sim to a backwater world, as far away as they thought they ever possibly could.
Hurled him into space all alone, banished from a Zirkin home.
Invaded Sim,
Blamed for our failure, then exiled the chain.
I feel like him.
Know how it feels cause you treat me the same. Hurled him into space all alone.
Remember Gur's there,
Banished from a Zirkin home.
Invaded Zim, Invaded Zim. It was grim and several synonyms when you said we were through. You were my fiancé, and then you sent me away like Invader Scooge did to Zim.
You left me in an empty home to watch a second season alone.
Invader Zim,
I thought you were my bride, but you lied and I cried. Now I won't be a crew.
I feel like him.
Sent on a big secret mission to Earth for Operation Impending Doom. You left me in an empty home.
Please, you left the cats there
to watch a second season alone.
Invader Zim, Invader Zim.
broadcast this messed up secret
Feel like
mission. I'm just trying my best, I'm a mess. My green complexion's just a skin condition.
how'd you make me feel so small?
Now you're the almighty
And I'm
tall.
invaders
Blame for a failure, then exile the chain.
I feel like him.
And I know how he feels, cause you treat me the same.
You hurled me into space all alone.
Banished from my Irken home.
I'm Invader Zim. Invader Zim. I feel like him. Invader Zim. Invader Zim. I'm like Invader Zim. Invader Zim. I feel like him. Invader Zim. Like Invader Zim.
So I am here with Ookla the Mock. How you doing, guys? Welcome back.
Doing well.
Good to be here. Thanks for inviting us.
So tell us about Invader Zim, your song, not the show. Well, we'll talk about the show, but let's talk about your song first.
Yeah, we should probably start with this was one of the custom villain reward songs from the Needle Juice crowdsourcing that we did last year.
Mhm.
This one was actually requested by Jace McLean himself.
Oh, cool.
So we felt the pressure was on to give him something that he'd be happy with. And
Put out a good song, or I'm not putting out your album.
Exactly. And so we were, and this was of the songs we wrote for that. This was the first one I think we really cracked musically, and yet it was the slowest burn. Like we kind of let it simmer on the back burner for a little bit. We could talk about it went through quite a lot of changes in terms of the arrangement. But Adam, is there anything you wanted to say, kind of at a preliminary?
Well, yeah, just that we decided to go a different way on the arrangement of the song than we had gone. We had a couple different ideas of how to proceed going forward with recording. Now that I can no longer play guitar or piano due to the stroke that I had. So because we decided to go a couple different ways, we're probably going to pursue both of these ways in the future. One was we recorded it, we created all the instruments digitally right in the recording studio.
Okay.
For our last song, which was
Bill Cipher,
Gravity Falls song. And then this one we contacted our old friend Jeff Thomas, who is a producer in the pop rock industry, and we sent him like a demo of the song and had him do the instruments. And we were really surprised with the result we got back from him. At first, surprise being a kind word for our first reaction, because he did it at a very slow tempo, and used all like 808, like 80s synthesizer sounds to create all the percussion and everything. It was a very odd
like the demo that that we had created was actually one of the reasons we were nervous about it was that it sounded a lot like Bill Cipher.
Mhm.
Like Bill Cipher is pretty much we recreated our demo in the studio with Doug, and this one, the demo was similar enough where like, man, we didn't want them to have two songs in a row that kind of had a similar and again melodically they're very different, but we were I guess nervous about that. But man, so that's why we brought in Jeff. But the demo that we delivered to Jeff was faster than the tempo was faster than what the final song was. But what he originally delivered back to us was slower than what the final one was. So it was
lot slower.
Really, yeah. It was like do 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 like it was that slow. And we were both like, what? And it, especially like it would have been weird for you not having heard our original demo, but going from fairly fast to this. It was like, what is happening? And so, but then, the three of us got together on Zoom and we talked, and then he kind of, he also, in typical Jeff fashion, what he delivered to us, was conceptually great, but very weird, and didn't pay attention to the song form or any of the lyrics at all. It was like
he sang it himself on his demo, and he sang Commander Zim instead of Invader Zim, just because he didn't remember, and he doesn't.
Yeah, and he didn't, the song form. We're like,
didn't think it mattered.
But once we got our brain around it, we were like, oh yeah, we really liked the parts that he had, we just kind of. So, we kind of worked it out, the three of us, and, then he delivered us, what we have here. And then, actually he delivered just the instruments. And then I kind of put vocals on it just so that, Adam would have a prayer of knowing, because it got like, I had it in my head enough that I was able to hear what Jeff was doing. But then, and then we went into Watchmen with Doug, recorded the vocals. We ended up replacing some of the drums and doing a bit of editing here and there, but most of what you're hearing is what Jeff delivered instrumentally. And then Adam and I just put our vocals down, and I'm a huge XTC fan, and I think Adam is also a fan, and we're obviously both huge They Might Be Giants fans, and this definitely has kind of an early XTC, early They Might Be Giants vibe to it. So
for sure, yeah.
Are these real instruments or digital?
Combination. Most of what you're hearing is, like the guitar is all real guitar. Okay. And I'm pretty sure the bass is, actually, real bass. The drums are not real.
The bass is not real. The bass is synthesized.
Okay.
But it's definitely more synth than we've used in the past. But it's got a fairly live rock kind of sound to it. I think it doesn't sound
like even like that very that kind of real quiet keyboardy bridge thing, that's actually guitar.
Oh, okay. It doesn't sound artificial or synthy or anything. I mean, like when I first heard it, I thought it was a keyboard part, but if you listen just to the attack, you can tell that it's being played on a guitar. I was mostly curious because he delivered you an original demo. I was wondering if he had to re-record all of the instruments for the new version, or if he was able to just No, he was able to. No, he. Yeah, well, I think again, like Jeff's such a gifted performer that one of the things with Jeff, it's often much quicker for Jeff to sit down and play the drum part or the bass part or the guitar part or the keyboard part than it is for him to mess around with, what I mean? It's, for him, if we're gonna, for us, where let's change something. And so we'll spend all this time, digitally manipulating it. Jeff will just say, just give me the guitar and I'll play the whole thing again and get it done in the time it takes to listen to the song.
I always said that about Mike Mallory, the session bass player that we work with, that he if he goes through a whole 4-minute song and he misses one little section, rather than punching in this section, he's just like, I can do better than that. I'll play it again. And he does the whole song again, and he'll play the whole thing perfectly. It's
if you want to, if any of you out there have wondered, I don't really always understand, or appreciate bass within pop or rock music. Next time you listen to Ookla the Mock, just listen for the bass and realize that, the extent to which so many Ookla songs, are just, the most impressive thing in it is Mike Mallory's bass part. He's just, he's
most of the time gifted. Because that's exactly what we told him we wanted.
Yeah.
We're like, this song needs something really extra cool. Those were my.
Well, and with Mike, I mean, most rock music, you tend to record the drums and the bass and maybe a rhythm, a chordal instrument, like a rhythm instrument, and that's the ground level, and then you build on that with leads and vocals. But in the vast majority, really everything Ookla's done, Mike has shown up after we've recorded everything.
Yeah.
The drums, all the guitars, the keyboards, all the vocals. And then Mike finds this amazing bass thing that most people would assume
to the next level.
Yeah, people would assume that we wrote the song around that bass figure, because he's
cool. Yeah.
He's so again, I tell the story a lot, but with Mike, it's about it just goes from his brain to his fingers without translation. He can just close his eyes and think of a part, and then go like that, and then he lays the part. Like the first time
Yep.
he's ever heard the part in the real world is when he's recording the bass part with his fingers. Which to me,
The
it's like,
bass part to Fly, he wrote in front of us, and he said, "Play the song, play it again, play it again. Okay, now quiet, please." And he
yeah,
sat there with his bass in his hands, not playing for 4
not
minutes.
that long. Yeah.
And then he's like, "Okay, let's go." And he played the bass part of that song almost exactly as it appears now.
It's magic. I
very-
don't know how
Yeah,
people do
no,
that.
exactly. And he's,
way.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, because if I come up with a part in my head, it's like 40 minutes for me to find the part on the guitar.
Yeah, I'm
and
the
then a
same
week
way.
for me to learn the part to the point where
Yeah.
I could perform it without embarrassing myself. You know what I mean? So, which is why I'm a songwriter, not a guitarer. But all right. So we're talking about Mike, and he didn't even play on this song.
No, he did.
So,
but he's pretty great.
were you guys familiar with the Invader Zim show before this song came up?
Yes.
For sure, I was a big fan. Not when the show came out, I didn't know about it. I wasn't watching Nickelodeon at that time, and some friends of mine were like, some friend that we had just met. They said, "Boy, she reminds me of Gurr from Invader Zim." I'm like, "What's that?" So we got home and they started showing me Invader Zim, and after a couple episodes, I'm like, "That reminds me of so and so," and they're like, "That's why we're showing you this show in the first place,"
Yeah. Yeah. I was a fan of, what's his first name? Is it Jonan or Jonan?
Jonan Vasquez, yeah.
Jonah Vasquez. Yeah. I was a fan of like
Jonan, I don't
Squee and Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, the comics. And so I was kind of aware of him. And then Adam, around this time was like, "Oh, have you seen, Zim?" And I had like read a couple of the comic stories, but I wasn't even aware of the cartoon. And then Adam, he probably handed me a DVD at that point, I would imagine, as far back as that was.
Yeah. Or VHS tape. The two.
So, yeah. So, yeah, definitely, we were, and again, I mean, obviously I hadn't thought about Invader Zim for quite some time. So it wasn't like, we definitely, did had to read the Wikipedia page to refresh ourselves, as we often do. And again, this one, Adam and I, we're talking about this before, that it's definitely more of a kind of a throwback to the really early days of Ookla songwriting. And that, like, before we wrote the songs that were on like the Rain and Adam tape, which is, our kind of pre-Less Than Art project, before we really had discovered the idea of filk, or that we could play at science fiction and comic book conventions. And so while all the songs had nerdy references, we didn't really have the courage to like write a song about Mr. Warren, about Aquaman. It was just, we're going to reference Spider-Man. We're going to reference, this thing. Yeah. And so a lot of it was like, we're going to talk about, the Wolfman as a metaphor, you know what I mean, for a relationship. And so, yeah, in some ways this, we kind of hit a wall with the lyrics to Zim. And we were like, well, we can, we were like, I guess we're gonna have to go back and watch the show again. And Adam's like, or we can just, make it a metaphor. And Adam had the great idea of this, like, let's just make it, like, it'll be, and he was right, that it'll be funny if in the chorus it's revealed that, oh, this isn't actually a song about Invader Zim. It's a song about someone who feels like Invader Zim and is just obsessed enough with the show to reference it, which again is pretty much that's the plot of every early Rain and Adam song. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we're obsessed with TV. So Murder, She Wrote, it's a song about a guy who breaks up with his girlfriend and, watches TV. That's pretty much the plot of every early Ookla song. Like, my girlfriend left me. I watched a lot of television. That's also the plot of our lives. And it's kind of like the snake that eats itself, because why did your girlfriend leave you? Because I was watching too much television to pay attention to her.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Well, it's a great song. Enjoyed the hell out of it. Have you heard from Jace? What did he think of it?
Oh, Jace very much, I believe his initial quote was, "This makes me very, very happy."
Cool.
And he also, as we haven't, brought ink and paper into the transaction just yet, but he has talked about wanting to do like a 7-inch single of all these reward songs.
I was going to ask if you were going to put all the, like, if you're going to do like Versus More Evil collection or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, we had talked about doing like kind of what we were going to call Evil Verses.
Okay.
But whether this ends up being that or whether this is just kind of a 7-inch single, we've got 3 songs right now, and we're working on. I don't think, we're doing the Tom Lehrer song. If we can talk about that, we're going to be doing Folk Song Army, which is looking like I submitted. We're going to work with Jeff again on that, and we submitted a demo that it's like a ska reggae version of Folk Song Army, so it's going to be very different.
So it's not a folk song, but okay,
exactly. Well, sure. I mean, as he himself said, he was originally
the original.
He was playing it on an 88-string guitar, it was kind of ragtime. But we're pretty happy with how the demo came out. And so, if we can get that done, it would make sense that, we can maybe include that and do like a 4-track single or something. Or maybe not, maybe it'll just be 3, but we're pretty pretty excited about how all these came out, to be honest. So
cool. Well, that would be awesome. So do you guys have anything you'd like to plug?
Yes. No, actually, I gotta check my the weekend of June 9th, Aaron and I, my wife Aaron and I, in our little side project called Via Bella, we're going to be performing during what's called the Festival of the Living Rooms, which is an online concert that we'll be giving. I know it's taking place that weekend. I think we're going to be performing on Saturday the 10th, but we haven't gotten the actual schedule yet. So unfortunately I can't, but if you're familiar with the Festival of the Living Rooms, you can certainly look that up online, and it happens, I think it's every 6 months. And then the following weekend on the 17th, we're going to be doing another online show, this one in conjunction with the Faithful Sidekicks.
Oh, cool.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, happy to do so. Hopefully we'll have something. Hopefully we'll have the Folk Song Army ready at some point soon. And we'll, of course, put that up on the FuMP when it's ready, and we'll see you then.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Take it easy.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Making the internet absolutely ridiculous. Dementia Radio. www.dementiaradio.org. Port 8027.
Please hang up and try again.
This is the part where there's feedback. Feedback. That segment of the show we do about now. Feedback. Feedback.
And there's no feedback this week. You know what that means.
Hello, Devo. Hello, Luke. Barramon here. I'm afraid there's no feedback this week. No feedback at all. I know how frustrating this is, with you going through the effort of crafting an intro for everyone. So now is the time to remind them to subscribe. Use that Prime subscription if they have one. It's free. There you go. That's a good boy. Have a biscuit.
Damn it!
All right. Let's do...
Oh, hey, I thought of something else to plug.
Okay.
Because... time works weird in my brain. I totally forgot this is a thing that happened in the past week. But for the first time in 20 months, there is a new episode of Luke and Carrie's Bad Rapport.
Oh, yeah, there is, isn't there? I listened to it.
Yeah. After the show's over, I'd like to know what you think of it. Come to think of it, I gotta ask Kyle if he's listened to it yet too. But yeah, it's part of it was recorded at MarsCon, part of it was recorded over Zoom. Just basically, it's, if you listened to the show before, you know what to expect. It's me and Carrie talking. Alex Anna's in it. There's lots of comedy songs. Hopefully, she and I will get back to doing episodes every few months again, because that's what I would like to do. So yeah, but go to badrapport.com, BADRAPPORT.com, and give it a listen. And if you feel like it, feel free to leave us a comment at the website so that we have comments to read the next time we do the show. So there we go.
Teasing. He's a teasing kind of guy. Now you have a job. Yeah.
Teasing. Tomorrow's song is by a new artist.
Ooh.
And you're just going to have to wait and see who it is. It is not Trick Fireman, unfortunately.
Hey! Did you hear me when when I said that earlier in the episode?
I did not. When did you say it?
Back when we were talking about the anime titles, and Joe was talking about like, in English,
Oh,
turn it into some other
yes.
thing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I said, yeah, the U.S. execs are like, just call it Trick Fireman. And
You're right. Okay.
It seemed like you didn't hear me when I said that.
It didn't register. Sorry.
It's okay.
All right. Tuesday song is by the Right Reverend Jarvis T. Hornswoggle. And this week's Spotify playlist topic suggested by Draconis is barbecues for Memorial Day. So I will get that set up right after the show. And Ookla the Mock is at ookla-the-mock.com. Joe J. Thomas is at joesdump.com. And that, as they say, is that. You got anything else?
Nope.
Let's get out of here. Thank you for listening to the Funny Music Podcast. I'm Devo Spice.
I'm Luke Ski. And it was Ookla and Zim.
Thank you for listening to the Funny Music Podcast. You can listen live every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific at DementiaRadio.org and join us in the chat. Or subscribe to the podcast feed. Look us up on iTunes and be sure to leave us a review. Feedback for the show can be sent to info@thefump.com. The Funny Music Podcast is a production of Fidem Interactive, LLC, released under a Creative Commons share-alike license. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, shout it to random people on the street, and be sure to visit thefump.com for the latest funny songs. Tune in next week where you'll hear Luke Ski say,
This Monday, listen to me on the virtual comedy show. It's Memorial Day. Because that's when you want to put Luke Ski on the virtual comedy show. On Memorial Day. When people are all doing other things. Yay.
I'll be a great adventure.